Cat egg. Well, a lot of new players always like to ask, what's the best gun? What's the tier list? Well, for Darkest Days, first and most, any gun could be viable, with an exception of pistols, just because of the sheer lacking of firepower. But I'm going to go through all the data for each gun, and you can really just decide for yourself. But personally, it's just a preference thing. Each gun shoots different, each gun feels different, and with drawbacks and situational standpoints. Anyways, this is a data chart that I put together. Uh, it basically is a simple DPS chart, and I highlighted the highest DPS per category of gun. And as you can tell, the light machine gun, or the large machine gun, the MG 240, has the highest number with an exception to the shotgun Alpha 12, because the shotgun, of course, is going to do more damage if you land every pellet on the head, which is really unrealistic. But if you do, those are the numbers, ranging at 13k versus a 9.3k. So if we go down the list, we have the C1911, which is the Deagle. That's, well, Darkest Days variant of the Deagle at 4.4k DPS. Tommy gun at 8.5k DPS, which is the newest gun that came out. The SPR-12 at 8.2k DPS, and the Krinkov 47, which is the AK-47 at 8.7k DPS. Now, it's all subjective. I mean, the data itself is static, and how I measured it is basically taking ammo times damage divided by the cycle time. The cycle time does include the reload, because, yeah, in traditional sense, DPS is just constant damage, which means that you have to include your reload cycle within that time variant, because you're not going to whip out a gun with 0 bullets and then start shooting. And feasibly, in a game like Darkest Days, you're constantly going to be shooting zombies over and over, and it just heavily relies on your reload cycle. So within the chart, you'll already see a disparity between guns that have a full reload versus a semi-reload. I can show you an example of that real quick. Like with the Rick, it reloads 1 bullet at a time, as you can tell, and you can shoot. You can put 1 bullet in and quickly shoot, which could bolster his DPS, but just to keep everything simple, I just did a full reload for the data's measurements. And and we go back to the chart. As you can tell, all the assault rifles are basically the same DPS except for the Krinkov 47. Does this make the Krinkov 47 better? It is, if you can control the recoil and the mass spray. It's pretty bad, as you can see here. And if I just grab any other assault rifle, and try it out, it is just easier to manage. But like I said, it comes down to personal preference and why I think that these minor DPS numbers, minor as in the gap between each one of them, isn't as big of a deal, is because there's an enhanced system. So enhancing basically allows you to upgrade your weapon and increase it a tier. So if I do this, it says it gets 93 extra attack power, which overall bolsters it. So if you really care about tier lists with guns, by raw data, those 5 guns are technically the top of their tier list within their subcategories. Now I'll make an exception for the Recon Scout, because that is the most budget-friendly sniper rifle with the highest DP, or the highest raw damage output. And with a simple scout, +3 with any kind of headshot damage. As you can tell, I don't have any, so I needed to make it to a +4. If you have a +3 scout with headshot damage, any percent, you're able to one-shot 45 zombies in the head, which is technically the most common high-level zombies you'll see in the game, overcap. And that's just the minimum that you would need. And it's easy to make. You can literally craft it at forge level 6, forge level 5 right here. So farming for it is simple. On top of green cob's always popular because high DPS and is also a craftable gun. So within the first tier, and then by the time you get to forge level 6, you can craft the SR version, getting it to a 4 and try to chance for a 14% Krinkov, such as this one right here. Fully crafted, easy to make, a little bit harder to upgrade since SR upgrade toolkits are a little bit more on the rare side versus the rare variant. Anyways, if going on to enhancements, and what does enhancements mean? So you use ER and you're going to use a ton of Milla, which is the in-game currency to upgrade your guns. And how it comes down, I have a little chart next to the data sheet basically saying at normal variant is going to take 20k. So if you try to upgrade any normal gun, it's going to take normal rarity gun is going to take 20k Milla, 10 ER. If you do any rare variant, it's going to do 50k Milla, 20 ER. You do any SR goes to 100k Milla, 30 ER. And then of course SSR goes to 250k Milla and 50 ER, which is a pretty steep jump. And unless you can massively farm the money on top of the ER, then I would not recommend doing SSR. A lot of endgame players also don't really advise SSR unless you're really trying to push rank in Whale, because those kits, you only get an SSR upgrade kit if you decomp an level 40 SSR, and those are fairly rare to come by. So if we're talking about meta-wise, an SR or an R weapon will get you pretty far, even just to +3. And with the R weapon, because of how cheap it is, you can just keep pushing its ranks and go even further. So how does the enhancement tier calculate it? So there's something I would like to say it just bolsters a level. If a N grade tier is 1, let me show you. So if this is at 1300, this impoverished gun is +0, this is level 40, right? And we find a green variant of it right here. This is level 40 +1. If the normal variant is the base scale, then the green variant is just 1 tier higher. So if I were to +1 this normal variant, it should turn into a green variant of that same level, except it gets also penetration, and it also gets penetration for the upgrade. So if I grab these two guns real quick and I go on these, so 1300, 1397, select this, go to upgrades, right here, 97 attack power, they're equivalent. So this means a green is a +1 white, and going down the scale, an SR is a +2 white. As of the last patch, an SSR is not a +3 white, it is a +4 white. So you would think like, oh, you need an SSR. because it comes in as a +4 white in theory, but it's still level 40. So the complications between that is every time you upgrade a weapon, it not only does the attack power go up, the penetration does too. This means you get to shoot through the enemy's defense, the zombies' defenses even better. And this is more important than the raw damage number itself, because the higher the higher the level the zombies go, the stronger they go. The stronger their defenses are, obviously, but to an absurd scale. So a +5 R weapon would do neutral damage to a level 45 zombie because it's on par with levels. A +5 4U weapon is technically a level 45 weapon. Then like an SSR at a +3 because you're missing 2 levels of just penetration that it negates. And the defense that it has just reduces your damage by a lot. Like going like I could one shot a bruiser with his +4 um recon scout just because it's a +4, not because of its high damage or any good substats. It's just sheerly because it has a high enhance rate. And if it gets to a +5, then it's basically a one-shot headshot for any zombie within the game because it's just on level. And you may have noticed this as you're grinding up when your weapon's like 5 levels down and you're trying to kill zombies, and it just doesn't work as effectively. But if you get like a quote unquote weaker weapon at that's on level, it'll do significantly more damage. As you can tell, the at level 45 or at level 43, zombie goes down with one shot. So let's go find a bruiser that's level 45. So it's more important that you just enhance your weapon to 3 or even 5 than it is to get a good weapon. Of course, get a good weapon and enhance it. Here's a 44, and if you see closely, it didn't die in one shot. I had to have Liam do the last killing blow. So it's just not strong enough. And it's that damage reduction from levels that really kills it. So it is more important to, there you go. 44, not a one shot versus a 43, just because it's an overleveled gun. So, anyways, going back to enhancements, if I were to recommend an SR or an R with a good substack like Liam's done, with a 14% headshot damage, this is golden. You can just upgrade this all the way if you have the kits. SR is a little bit more pricey. I do recommend an R weapon because you can easily bolster it to 5 and it'll be a good training gun to bring you into endgame to farm for any other guns that you would like to use. So that is basically the gist of enhancements. And I forgot how to explain to get ER. It's self-explanatory once you get to 40. You have multiple different options. You can kill titans, flowers, or hordes of level 36 to 40. The bigger mobs have to be level 40. So titans, flowers. On top of Gigas, I believe he drops 11 ER. Every titan and flower drops 5 ER. Or you can go into Rootlands right here and do the extraction shooter game mode that's PvPvE. If you live in NA like I do, it's fairly empty, so it's no issues running into players, especially for mobile players. If you're scared that a PC player might dome you when you walk out of a house, you don't really need to fret as much depending on the time you play. I know personally, I don't go out hunting people since we're all just there for ER. I'm not much of a PvP head anyways. And yeah, ER would just be the end game currency next to Milla, how to get stacks of Milla. You always have all these white items, and you just sell it to birds. And every 20 items I usually get for it is like around 50k. And these are basically cheaper by the dozen. You'll get these in abundance, right? So 74k, easy sales, done. And if you ever miss sell an item, you can always just buy it back. Of course, at a loss, but that's just the way it is. Anyways, that. So I don't want to discourage or push a meta, but these are just the gun stats. These are the raw data I checked for each gun variant. Hope it helps, and like and subscribe, I suppose. Bye bye.